Hello, this is Mark. Okay, this is video 16. I built this board, designed this board, and through all the other videos, the other 15 videos, and ordered it. And, they came in a long time ago. You get the Osh Park envelope, and it's got literally 3 boards in it, and nothing else is very frequently what you get. So I think you can check boxes if you want the spreader or not. I've already got everything else. So literally that's the only thing that was in there, not even a piece of paper. And then the other thing that you needed to order was from Osh Stencil to get a stencil. The only thing in there is a piece of colored plastic. It's got laser cut holes that are really tiny in there. And so the first thing we need to do, and then before you can assemble the boards, you need to get some of the parts from me, and then a bunch of the parts are already downstairs in the A017 E lab, the capstone lab down there. And a second here, let's go for, so you get a little container of parts. Now I've added all the resistors and capacitors already, so they're already in place. They're all here. You need to find those yourself. I'll give you all the stuff that they don't have downstairs. So, there's the processor, there's the memory chip, the button, there's the diode in there that's big. That's the voltage regulator, the USB-C connector. There's a couple of LEDs in there. They're a little harder to spot. There's one between the button and the other piece. And then the other thing we need, this is the board in the kind of the jig I set up for actually making it. And what I want to do, this plastic here is the same size as a circuit board. You can just use another circuit board and tape it down to the table or something like that, and that works just fine. But I want this to fit really flush, and it doesn't because it's got little, where they cut the board, there's these little nubbies on it. And we want to get rid of those. So I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper. Sorry, the audio is going to suck a little bit here. This is 220 sandpaper. Okay, let me wipe that off. Okay, so now make sure you take the dust off the sandpaper and knock it into the trash can. Okay, so now it fits much tighter up into the corner, and it'll be much more stable. So now I need to kind of block it into place, and I'm just going to grab a few more circuit boards. In fact, I've got a couple here. So what I think I'll do is I'll just use those, because I just really want to get it in place. It's some way of holding it. In fact, I could probably do it with one. Yeah, maybe we'll just do that. We'll try it this way. And I'm just going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to tape this one down. So this board it'll stay in place for me. Now the next thing I need to put in place is I need that stencil to be exactly in the right spot. So let me go over to the other camera so we can see it better. I want this one. Okay. Let me try it this way. Okay, so we're really, really, really close to it. And I can't really zoom out with this camera anymore. But what I want to do is I want this stencil to fit. And I need it to be exactly right. So let's see here. It needs to be, you play this game of which way does it have to rotate to get everything in the right spot. So there, if the micro's right, that other thing isn't. So it has to go this way. So let's get the micro. That looks like where we need to be. So what I want to do is I want this to be as absolutely as close as I can get it to where it should be. That looks pretty good also. Let me grab another piece of tape. And I'm going to tape this down. And that should hold it pretty well. You know, I think that'll do. Okay, so I move around a little bit. USB-C, you know, the holes are a little bigger than you know, I can see it's off just a smidge, but it'll be close enough. Okay, so next up is I need to put, I'm going to go back to the other camera because I need to be able to, you need to be able to see this a little better. So let me go back to this. Okay, so I got my stencil down, I've got taped down there, the board is solid. I need solder paste. So what I need is just a little bit of solder paste on here. And there should be some down there. Remember, it's lead based, so you need to wash your hands and stuff after you play with this stuff. So next up is I want to take this solder paste, and I'm going to decide which way I'm going to swipe this thing. I'm going to swipe it this direction. So I want to take a pretty thin line of solder paste, and I want it not on the holes, but I want to be beside the holes, like this. I've probably got way more than you should have. And then they've got these solder paste spreaders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeegee on the solder paste and try to get all the holes to cover. So I'm just going to go like this and try to hold everything in place. And I really want a pretty thin angle on this. You know, that's not too bad. Now I can see I missed just a little bit over here. And I'm just going to touch it while I'm at it. Okay, so I'm going to take this solder paste back off, and I'm going to put it back in my container so I can use it later. There's no reason to waste it. Okay, so next up is I need to pull this thing, and I want to be very gentle and just pull it up like this. Now this is all covered with lead. Again, we don't want to eat it, so I'm going to set it aside for the moment. And as I look at the board, let me flip back to the other camera so we can see how we've done here. I'm out of focus. Okay. So you can see that there's solder paste everywhere we want it to be. That doesn't look too bad. Okay. Next up is I want to stick parts on. So we've got our schematic. You should have printed that out, by the way. So I can look up where the values are, and everything's labeled. So I can just go through with my tweezers and put the parts down. So let me just start in on that then. Okay. First up, let me just dump these parts here on the table where I can reach them. And let me just go with the big parts first. Now, the biggie is the processor. And that pin 1 looks like it's low into the left there. Let's make sure we get this the right way. Okay, so that's low and to the left. There's the dot on the board and there's the little arrow there. So we're just going to drop this right there. Just like that. Let's get the memory chip. That's the memory chip. And the dot's already in the right direction, so I can just drop this into here. Oops. And as long as it gets really, really close, you know, it's not going to matter that those solder gets shorted, looks like it's shorted. It's just not going to make any difference. Let's keep going with the bigger parts. I'm going to rotate this around so I can get that USB connector in the right spot. And that's got a couple of pegs that go into the PC board. Okay. Let's get the regulator in here. Let me make an adjustment here. Regulator is out of focus. Let me fix that. Okay, so here's the regulator. It goes this way. Okay, we've got a big diode there. The diode's polarized. You'll notice there's a stripe on the end, and the diode's got a box that's only one side's open, so that goes in here like that. I'm putting in all the parts that are easy. I don't even have to look at the schematic. We've got the switch. The switch goes this way. That'll work. Okay, let me get the other parts going here. Let's go for, we've got a crystal. And that's usually really close to the processor. There it is, Y1. Okay. So we turn this to go this way. It can go either direction, it won't hurt it. Then the two caps, C4 and C5, we're leaving those off at the moment. Okay, so now I've got a whole bunch of just components. The tiny ones, let me just put those up here where we can see them. Well, here's a diode. Where are my diodes? There's a diode. You can see that there's a couple of green spots on there. They have to go, they're also polarized, so they go this way. So here's one of them, this is D3. And that one goes this way. Yeah, it's getting close to lunch, so I'm shaky. Okay, there's the diodes. I'm going to keep moving some parts up here so we can get to them easier. You know, I can't read them if they're upside down, so I want them to be other way. The caps are not labeled, but the resistors are, so we're going for that. I gotta try to make sure I get them all where I can see the labels so I know what they are, because there's different values here. Okay. Let's see. By looking at my schematic, I know that, let's see, R8 and R9 are 5.1 Ks, and the 512 is the 5.1 K. So my tweezers are getting messy here. Okay, so this 512, that's one of them, and that goes to R8 and R9. Here's R8. R9 is the other one. There's the other one. Okay, the 22 ohm resistors. On the USB data lines, we said 27. Well, I haven't got 27, so I'm going to put in 22s. I already know that'll work okay. Okay, R12, that's, let's see, what do we got for R12? R12 and R13 are 4.7 Ks, so 4.7 K, there's 47, you know, they're slightly different styles, but, you know, when they got this digits, that came out of my drawer, so that's what we got. There's R12. Oops. There's the other one, R13. Now we got R5 and R4. And we got this other one in here that I don't have labeled. I wonder what that one is. That looks like a bypass cap. It's got the ground to +5. So that's going to be a bypass cap on the regulator. That's the C6. We'll get to that in a second. Let me do the other ones. 102 is a 1K resistor. And the 1Ks are R5. I got a whole bunch of those. There's R5. And I know that they are used with these LEDs. This is R11. And R10. There's R2 is, where's R2? R2 is 100 ohms. I don't know if I got that one out. Here's the 10K. And that's going to be R4. So I'm just stick that down. Okay, I guess I missed a few resistors in getting my kit together here. I know that R1 is a 1K, so where is that one? Okay, let's go back and just grab the ones we need. Those are all caps, those are all caps. I need R2 is the one I need right next. And R2, I gotta find it here. R2 is the 100 ohms, okay. There's R2, a 101. I need R1 is a 10K. Push it down a little bit. R3 is a 1K. I want it upside right. Okay. Okay, so next is, we're just short caps? Okay. I've got one of them listed as 100 nanofarad, and the others are all 10 microfarad. And on my caps here, you can see this one is smaller than the rest. These are all the 10s. This is the 100. And if you were to put 10 mics on all of them, it would actually be just fine. There's one. There's two. C4, C5 we leave off. Those are the caps that are the 15 picofarad ones. There's C2. I need C3. And then C7, C8. Is that the last two? I think they are. C7 and C8. Okay, so all the parts are now stuck down with the solder paste. They're easy to knock off. So at this point, all we need to do is take the board carefully, set it in that reflow oven that's down there by the wall, and let it in, push the buttons, make it do its cycle. I'm going to reset up to do a slightly different video, and we're going to do it with hot air. And so you can actually see the parts melt and get into place. You can't see that in the reflow oven. It's kind of fun to watch. So we're going to stop here.